Every time I turn this computer on, it asks me something important. It doesn't greet me. It doesn't ease into the conversation. It immediately presents a full-page agreement and says, "Please read and agree." That's not a welcome. That's a challenge. I stare at the screen. My hands are near the keyboard, but I'm not touching anything yet. I like to establish dominance first. The computer and I need to understand each other. There are two buttons. One says I agree. Bold, confident. Blue, usually. Blue is a persuasive color. The other one says something like decline or cancel, which feels less like a choice and more like a threat. I'm fairly certain if I click that one, the computer slowly powers down and whispers, "That's disappointing." So I scroll and scroll and scroll again. This agreement is longer than some novels I've abandoned halfway through. The tiny scroll bar on the side barely moves, which is deeply humbling. I'm not reading anymore. I'm hiking. Bland, I remember when agreements were simple. You shook hands, maybe signed one page. Everyone nodded and trusted each other. Now I need a map and possibly a legal interpreter. I try to be responsible. I really do. I don't want to agree to something I don't understand. I've lived long enough to know that the words you skip are usually the expensive ones. So I begin reading carefully. The first sentence starts strong. It sounds official. Then it stretches and stretches and introduces cousins. By the time I reach the end, I've forgotten how it began. I scroll back up. I try again. Same result. There are phrases like binding arbitration and third-party affiliates. I don't even know my first-party affiliates now. I have third ones. This is where the imagination kicks in. Dolengia. What if by clicking I agree, I've agreed to receive emails until the year? Artsenling Jolsersan. And what if I've agreed to share my favorite soup recipes route with an algorithm? What if my toaster suddenly updates itself? My mind is creative under pressure. I scroll further. I'm committed now. I've invested too much time to turn back. The scroll has become personal. Spendia. At some point, I realize something important. No one truly expects me to read every word. If they did, they would have made it shorter. Or offered snacks. It's a quiet agreement between humans and technology. They provide a mountain of text. We respectfully skim it and pretend we climbed it. Still, I have standards. I look for specific words: privacy, very important; cost, extremely important; automatic renewal; absolutely critical; calculation policy; vital for peace of mind. If those sections seem reasonable and nothing jumps out at me like a dramatic exclamation mark, I begin to relax. Bennett Basser-San. I choose my energy carefully. I have already spent a significant portion of my morning negotiating with this document. I still need to check the weather and possibly look up how to fix a remote control that behaves emotionally. Then comes the moment. My cursor hovers over. I agree. This is modern courage, not climbing mountains, not wrestling bears. Clicking I agree with cautious optimism, I take a breath. I adjust my glasses. I sit up straight as if posture improves legal comprehension. And I click. There. I agreed. I wait. Nothing dramatic happens. No alarms. No flashing red lights. The screen simply moves forward like we both knew this was inevitable. Life continues. The email opens. The world does not collapse. My toaster remains cooperative, and that's when I realize something. And the agreement isn't about understanding every word. It's about understanding enough to feel steady, enough to know you looked for the important parts, enough to know you weren't careless. My solution is simple. Blend, I skim for what matters. I don't rush. If something feels wrong, I stop. And if I truly don't understand it, I ask someone who grew up with Wi-Fi. Then I click, I agree. Not recklessly, not fearfully, just reasonably. And so far, the computer and I have maintained a respectful relationship.